So I want you guys to close your eyes. So this will be anonymous. I want you to raise your hand if your goal is to lose weight over the next 4 or 5 weeks. Raise your hand if you have lost weight and are having trouble maintaining that weight loss. Raise your hand if you have struggled a little bit with the yo-yo of weight loss, weight gain, and have tried a few different diets over the past year. We start to develop food habits and mentalities around food when we're really young, and it's really interesting to kind of take a step back and start to think about when that happened and why that happened. When it comes to making pretty substantial life changes or trying to work on something really big or that seems really big to you, it's sometimes just really nice to have a group. So I like to do some group coaching as well because I think it gives people a nice support system. You guys might not all know each other, but you're all kind of here for a similar reason, and you might have similar goals, and the way that you get to your goal might be different, but it's nice to have a group of people that you can talk to about that. I love seeing clients tell each other like, oh, I tried this recipe, or I tried this and it worked really well for me, because that's a moment for you where you realize what you're learning, and I think that's really important as part of the process, because it's not always going to come from me. It's not always going to come from the internet. At some point you want to learn how to do it on your own. So we're going to have 3 in-person meetings. There's obviously tonight, and then we'll do a midpoint check-in, and usually the accountability groups wrap up on a Saturday with a workout and kind of a fun little event. So has anyone not heard of Slack at all, ever? Okay. It's just a communication platform that was actually built for offices to reduce inter-office emails. We have a true health and wholeness Slack team set up, and you guys will all be invited to that. And that'll be a way for us to communicate in between meetings, so you guys can share meal ideas, recipes, grocery lists. I will be on there, so you can ask me questions, and we can just keep in touch in between meetings as a way to stay accountable to each other. Get in touch on Slack, chat with each other, really form this community so that you're feeling supported and that you can support each other. Some of the factors that influence whether or not we gain weight are food, obviously, fitness, our lifestyle outside of exercise. So if you're sitting at a desk all day, if you're driving a lot, if you work from home and sit on a couch a lot, just kind of how active you are outside of actually exercising. Stress levels, how well we sleep, unfortunately our genetics, which we have no control over, and age and gender, which kind of goes under the genetics umbrella. Under that could also be any chronic health conditions that you might have that influence weight gain, any medications, something like that. So those are definitely worth considering as well. And then for weight loss, again, it's food and fitness, stress management, adequate sleep or sleep hygiene, and mindful eating. Your body has a weight set point. So we might all have this ideal weight in our head, or we have an ideal way of thinking about, what a woman is supposed to look like or what a man is supposed to look like. But the truth is that we all have a weight set point. We all have a certain body type. We all have a weight where our body is happy and we're healthy, and there's actually a trademark named for this kind of mindset, which is health at every size. And it's taking into account that you are at a certain weight and your other health markers are all normal. So your cholesterol is healthy, your blood triglycerides are healthy, your blood glucose control is great, your blood pressure is low, all of those things. So when you take it all into account, you're healthy. Just take a few moments to think about what your lowest weight was in the last couple of years, and what your lifestyle was like at that point, and how long you were able to maintain it. And these are notes for you that we can kind of go over maybe one-on-one a little bit later. But this is mostly just to kind of get you thinking about what works best for you and maybe what is sustainable or unsustainable for you. Take what works for you and leave what doesn't. 4 weeks is not an extremely long amount of time, or 1 month is not a long amount of time. So I want you guys to start to think about what feels like a top priority for you, and think about your lifestyle right now, and think about what's going on over the next month, and kind of identify where you think you should really be directing your focus based on what we're talking about. So the first thing I'm going to say, especially since some of you are saying that you're kind of working out more now than you ever have, or you want to introduce fitness back into your routine, is to eat enough. I just want you guys to make sure that you're not going into starvation mode, which initially will lead to some weight loss, but It backfires pretty quickly because what happens when the body is in starvation mode is that it starts to hoard fat because it thinks it's not going to get any resources. We don't want you to go into starvation mode. We want your body to be nourished and healthy. What we're doing is just trying to bring you back down to your healthy weight set point and maybe change your body composition through other things like fitness and stress management so that you're in a healthier place for you. So eating when you're hungry and eating to satiety. And those sound like really basic concepts when I say them, but when you take a step back and you think about it, it's actually kind of easy to eat when you're not hungry. And it's easy to eat past the point of fullness or to eat a certain amount at a meal and not think about whether or not you're full because that's just what you had. I had this salad at Sweetgreen and that's just what they gave me, so it's what I ate, but was I full when I finished it? Or did I not need to finish it? Was there a lot in there that maybe I didn't need the whole thing, or I was full before I got through the bottom of the salad? As we go over the next 4 weeks, I want you guys to start thinking about physical hunger signs, which are kind of, tummy rumbling, maybe feeling a little bit lightheaded if you've gone a little too far into the hunger zone, not being able to concentrate very much, getting a little bit moody. We've all been hangry at some point or another, right? The goal with eating when you're hungry, and this takes a little bit of work, is to start to recognize your physical hunger signs and eat before you feel famished. Because by the time you get to feeling too hungry, famished, that hangry state of mind, the body's tendency is to eat really quickly. And when that happens, we don't register fullness by the time we're actually full. And so it's easy to overeat and then feel really full in the next 20 or 30 minutes or hour or whatever it might be. Sometimes what I have people do is start food journaling. And by that, I don't mean counting calories. I don't mean measuring out your food. I mean journaling when you eat and how hungry you were for that meal. Another thing that's really common is that we have meal times that we stick to religiously. I eat at 6 a.m., 11 a.m., and 5 p.m. And it's really easy to get to those times and even train yourself to be hungry because that's just what you've done for so long. As you start to become more aware of physical hunger, it's okay to wait a little bit in the morning if you don't want to eat breakfast right away, or it's okay to wait a little bit for lunch, or to eat lunch a little bit earlier if that's when you really feel hungry. If you know you're hungry usually around 10:30 or 11, but you don't get to eat lunch until 1 or 1:30, you want to have a snack that's appropriate for holding you over for 1 or 2 hours. My guess is that as you're kind of sitting here thinking about this, you probably have times where you're like, yeah, I always get hungry before that 11 a.m. meeting every day, or I'm always so hungry when I get home from work because I haven't eaten since lunch. Especially for this first week, just think about when you're usually hungry, what hunger feels like for you, and how often do you eat when you're hungry versus just eat because it's time and you've kind of trained yourself to eat around those times. Eating your meals a little bit slower so that your body actually has time to register fullness. Just notice how long it typically takes you to eat a meal or a snack. Eat a variety of nutrients and food, and those two things go together. So if you're eating a variety of food, you're eating a variety of nutrients. The reason I bring this up is that some people tend to get into food habits where they only eat certain foods just because they don't want to think about it, or maybe you heard once that this recipe is really good, so you make it every week, 3 nights a week or something like that. One really easy way to think about this is eating a variety of colors. To me, it's just an easy way to think about food variety without having to think about what food group does this belong to, or what nutrients does this have. If you're having different colors, that means you're having different types of food and you're getting different nutrients. If you are food journaling, this is one way to do it, or just kind of taking pictures of your food and looking back and being like, I ate a lot of white today. Our macronutrients are our proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And they're called macronutrients just because they give us energy, and that's the name that was assigned to them. Our micronutrients are vitamins and minerals, which don't provide any energy in terms of calories, but are also obviously very important. So with macronutrients, you want to have a variety at every meal. So every meal should have a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat, a little bit of carbohydrate. I don't want you guys leaving here and saying, I'm going to eat healthier for the next 4 weeks, because then when tomorrow comes and you're tired and you're thinking about breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whenever you tend to get tired and you're thinking about food, I want you to have something specific you can go to, and I want you to have a specific thought, not just looking at all these options and thinking, I said I want to eat healthier, but I don't know what healthier is, right? So I want you to set at least 3 SMART goals tonight And that means they're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And all of those things mean, as you look at these examples, you can identify the specific things, the measurable things. The timely, I probably left out of some of these. So timely could be, for the next 2 weeks, I want to do this. Or, by April 22nd, I will have done this, or something like that. So you can add in a time that makes sense for you. When we do our check-in on the 3rd, that can be a time where you reset your goals. So it might be for the next 2 weeks you're doing this. It might be for 2 weeks I want to do this, and then for 2 weeks I want to add on to it and do something else. But being able to measure your goal helps you feel successful. So I will eat 1 serving of vegetables with lunch on weekdays. Every weekday, that's a very easy box to check. Did I have a vegetable at lunch, or did I not have a vegetable at lunch? And I want to do that for the next 2 weeks, and then on April 3rd, I'll reassess, and maybe that will start to feel habitual and I won't have to think about it, or maybe I want to keep that goal and still work on it for a couple weeks. So think about every part of this acronym and then look at these examples. If you want a little help kind of honing your goals or making sure that they're going to feel right to you, raise your hand, I'll come over, we can chat. But just make sure that if you start to think about this goal tomorrow, you will know exactly whether or not, like, yes, I accomplished that, or no, I didn't. It should be that specific that you can say, yes, I had a vegetable with lunch, or yes, I had a piece of fruit before my workout, or no, I didn't. So that way you're just able to feel successful every day. So take a few minutes to write out some goals, and just give me a little wave if you want some help.